Here we go. Here we go. It's Wednesday. What's happening? That's Brad Thomas. That's Eric Lindquist. I'm Eitan Shander. Gold Boys meets OddsShopper. James is producing. We got a lot of stuff happening here in the next, 30 minutes or so if we can track this down. Juneteenth, Willie Mays. There's a lot happening today beyond, of course, just our bets. I know that all three of us are so self-centered when it comes to nothing else in the world matters except hitting a bet that we give out. But no, we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about here. I already told these guys I've changed my shirt now 3 times today. Eric has been wearing the same thing because he's chilling with a dog in California. And Brad, of course, is always out styling all of us.
Listen. Hey, you change your shirt 3 times. Babies, children, I get that. At least it's not from sweating out bets, because that's when we have to kind of check up on you, man. We're gonna be like, it's not that serious. But no, I'm glad that we're here talking some sports. And of course, again, we have Euros on right now, and then we have a golf tournament tomorrow. So it's super exciting.
Ready to rock for tomorrow. That is for sure. Getting to this is, I would say, Connecticut, one of my favorite golf courses that exists on the PGA Tour. We know the finishes. Yeah. We know there's drama. There's birdie opportunities. There's water lurking right, which is always fun because under pressure, clubs tend to go further right than they did once upon a time. People who like to draw the golf ball, not a whole lot of love coming down to the wire those last couple. But I'm excited to go watch what short knocker is going to go overextend my bankroll for tonight once I start taking a deeper look into things.
Real quick, is anybody sweating anything live right now? If you follow me on Twitter at ShanderBets, you already cashed that Brian Reynolds boosted home run. So I'm chilling right now, but maybe I can put a little of that positive energy towards one of the two of you guys if you're sweating anything. Baseball, Euro, Russian ping pong, if that's still going on, depending on the time right now. Anybody sweating anything live?
Yeah, I'm just sweating corners in the first half in Scotland, Switzerland, but sweating would be like, it'd be really light, right? Because like I need 4 of them. They already had 2 in the first 4 minutes. So if I don't get home there, I may cry.
Oh my gosh. That's fantastic.
I love it.
I was going to say the corner bets, those are kind of your repertoire. I was going to say kind of going through some of those. I mean, I think about corners, or I used to play soccer DFS every day, where that was like the main thing you wanted to figure out was who was sending across the most corners. Bruno Fernandes was a cheat code once upon a time, and those were you just played nonstop Bruno Fernandes in DFS. But I need Kyle Hendricks to stop it. What is going on? Why does he have 5 strikeouts through 3 innings against the Giants? Why is this happening to me?
Because you bet it. He knew that you bet it.
I only took the freaking Giants, but like it was a baby play. Didn't even need a consideration. It was kind of a morning sweat while I'm watching meetings, and all I see is Kyle Hendricks mowing dudes down. This is not the morning I was anticipating.
By the way, real quick, we need a name for this show, right? Like, if you're watching on the Gold Boys YouTube channel, make sure you hit that thumbs up button. I promote the playback channel right now, but we jumped in on this thing. We don't even have Brad visible yet, so you're better off watching on YouTube right now. We're gonna start broadcasting, streaming, if you will, on the OddsShopper Twitter account on top of the Gold Boys YouTube channel. But you're right, man. We need a name here.
Yeah, we need a name. You know, it's funny. I like listening to podcasts, How I Built This, and it kind of talks about how these big conglomerates or these big entrepreneurs started their business and how they're going and all that. You know, Five Guys the name came because it was literally 5 guys that sell burgers and fries.
And they just
for
came
$25 a pop. I mean, these things are absurd now. Why is 5 Guys so expensive?
I have to defend them because I was in the same boat until I heard them. They talk about like they use more expensive mayonnaise, more expensive bread because they didn't want to like cheap out. And they did a blind taste test with like one of their finance guys. He's like, it's mayonnaise. You're not going to tell the difference. They did a blind taste test with like 5 different people and everyone picked the expensive mayonnaise.
They picked the wrong 5 people, Brad. They picked the wrong 5 people. They picked like the 5 debutantes of downtown Miami or something. Like, what the hell are we doing? Charging $15 for a burger and fries at a fast food joint. That is what it is. And it's not even fast food. You have to go into order 5 Guys pretty much everywhere now. It's in every outlet mall. It's not like you get to just Ooh, 5 games. Ooh, 5 guys just drives me nuts. It drives me nuts.
They put them in airports now, so I don't know how expensive a Five Guys burger is in an airport, but I gotta imagine you have to take a loan just to get one.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're right.
It's up there. Ugh.
Never a drive-through there. That's fascinating. I mean, look, you shouldn't be putting mayo on much, if anything, anyway. But that's a different conversation. By all means, I'm just blown away that we've hit that point there. I don't know though. Look, Z-Ball and Gold Odd Show. Can it be 3 guys or is that a ripoff? Or,
3 guys is pretty
James
good.
is
I will
here.
say, how about this? How about this? We can get somebody an entire. I was going to say we could throw this together where if somebody comes up with the name of our show, somebody comes up with the name of their show, we hook them up with something. We can definitely find something nifty, whether that's OddsShopper, whether that's GoldBoys, whether that's Discord access to anything, everything. We can hook somebody up if they come up with something original for the 3 of us, because I very much like that idea.
Yeah, I do too.
Me too. Okay. So we're
Make
in,
other
we're
people
good
do the work. There we are. Good job, team.
Yep. Am I the only one on playback right now, by the way?
No, we're all here.
No, we're all here.
Okay. You're all there. It's just me being the biggest face of it all. So NBA season's over, and any recap? I mean, how insufferable? Here's my question, real quick, Brad, because we don't have a resident Celtics fan on our staff, right, Lindy? Like it's just no.
It's all you Philly people. I don't know where you come from, where you spawn from, but
obnoxious.
From your cave in the wilderness up in the Appalachian, you guys just went north to Pennsylvania for whatever reason. But I will say Boston, they've been the best team all season long. It is no surprise that they end up winning. I thought the most interesting thing was going through the 2016-2017 draft after the fact. Hadn't thought about the fact that Philadelphia, your Sixers, kind of the impetus for Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown getting together as is. 2016-2017, screw up Central. Ben Simmons followed by Markelle Fultz with the number 1 picks back-to-back. Yeah. And number 3 picks back-to-back for Boston.
The Lakers were in there
Jason
too.
Tatum, Jaylen Brown. And yes, the Lakers were smack dab in the middle as well, but they took Brandon Ingram, and who was the other guy that they took in that draft? Lonzo Ball. There you go. So those two I can look at and say that's all right. But Markelle Fultz, he decided to try to revamp his jumper coming into an NBA draft. I don't think anybody in the draft prospects, we have to really be worried about like that kind of a ceiling from this season. I guess the biggest ceiling is what happens with Bronny James next week, for what that ends up doing for the Lakers franchise going forward in some other spots. But as far as this season goes, I had a really nice season, nearly a 7% edge that I had through and through. Feel pretty good about the betting results. We had a nice postseason, Eitan. You and I together, we found
Not
some
bad.
W's.
Not bad.
We had a pretty darn good postseason together. So just keep that train rolling. Maybe dive into the WNBA street sooner rather than later.
Ooh,
I got something for you on that. So real quick, Brad, as you talk, and this is going to be perfect, right? Because as you talk and give your recap, kind of similar to what Eric did, because we just had to hear about everything from Lindy, including the 7% ROI. He was not going to let that go without it. James, can you help me? Because I've once again trapped myself to where the chat is full on. You guys use this program Video Ninja. And there we go. I have no idea what the hell I'm doing. I got caught trying to sneak on the chat, and I was thinking it would take a lot longer than that, but straight saved me. So Brad, take it away, man.
Yeah, NBA season was good. I switched up my handicapping style. For anybody who watched the GoldBoys show, I stopped playing a lot of straights. I mean, a lot of vigged plays, so anything with minus odds, and I went more for milestones. Finished the season up 18 units on 80 bets with it was only a 43% win rate, but when you're taking a guy at plus 500, plus 400, you obviously have to win way less. I didn't get home on a couple bets that I thought were pretty good when I took Minnesota to win the West. I did get Celtics to win the East, but that was basically a waste of money. But not a waste of money, but like waste of my time because the juice on that was so horrible. But it was a fun season. The best team won, and I think the amount of dominance they had through the regular season made it feel great, right? Like it wasn't like they just were a good team and they slacked off all during the season. They dominated the season and then dominated the playoffs. I hated that how short the series were, but I mean, good teams like that, like, obviously that team's they're gonna have to decide if they're gonna pay Derek White. It's hard to repeat. It's always hard to keep that same focus for another season. So those are kind of like those once in a lifetime dominations. But man, what a great squad.
Yeah, I would tend to absolutely agree with that. I think it was Josh Eberly on Twitter who put out a tweet that showed all of the close games. I forget how he defined close games, if it was, 4 points, 6 points, what have you, but it was something tangible. It wasn't like, 10.5, and that's the line. It was a noticeable number that would make sense as far as close games. And this year had a ton of them, absolutely a ton of them. And I think what gets marred is just, the blowout and what have you in the finals. But even still, we remember how Dallas walked down that lead in which they were just cooked and ultimately came back, and I think even had that backdoor cover from when the gate closed. So, yeah, I'm with you, man. I'm ultimately pleased with how this season went. I know we all had some thoughts on it before we can kind of turn the page, but look, man, the season is over. It was, from a Sixers standpoint, the gap is so wide between what I'm watching and, I don't know. Real quick. You could argue, I guess it would be Minnesota, right? Especially, we'll see what happens, Jimmy gone and all, but Brad with the Heat. Oh, no, you're in Orlando, right? Sorry.
Yep.
So the Magic, that's why I brought this up in my head. Magic, depending on who they get, Sixers, depending on who they get, or Lindy's Wolves. Who do you think is closer to beating the Celtics next year?
The Timberwolves, because they wouldn't have to play them until the finals, which gives them the longest run out for injury risk, which gives them the longest leeway in terms of progression. What are you talking about, Eitan? What?
Look at Dallas. Dallas was fine. I mean, Luka was a little banged up. I get that. But it wouldn't help. It's not like Luka is Gary Payton reincarnated and couldn't defend because of this lateral tear or whatever the hell it was, right? So with that said, I think it's more a matter of, yeah, you're right. Like, I get it. It's probably more beneficial in that spot, but you're still going to have to match up with this team, and Dallas are still kind of took the brunt of it.
But the thought is always and this just goes back to, just the way that you play playoff basketball. When you're playing 40 plus minutes a day, like most playoff contenders are going to have their main rotation pieces going, injury risk goes up. So you want to play a team as late as possible. And being in the Western Conference, the only time we would be playing the Boston Celtics would be in the NBA Finals, where you would have the longest runway, the longest opportunity for a team to potentially match up with them, where a player on their side could be diminished, whether that's Kristaps Porzingis, whether that ends up being Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum. So I'm not saying like that we're going to beat them or that we would be better than them, but there is no doubt that if you're just saying straight up which team has the best opportunity to beat them, let's take the one that would face them last.
Also, the one that, Minnesota were 1 and 2 in offensive and defensive rating. So I think Minnesota, another year to get better, add some more pieces around them, get healthy as well. I don't know about Dallas. Like, Dallas obviously going to take another step forward, but I talked about this. I think it was on Twitter, and I'm standing by this. Luka is going to have this really severe decline if he doesn't work on his health and fitness, and it's going to come immediate. Don't know when, but we're going to be like, what the hell happened to Luka? Dude's going to be balling, and then all of a sudden, it's just going to see a gradual drop off. Just because the season's long, your body can't sustain like that, especially if you have unhealthy habits. You look at all of the stars with longevity in their careers; they took that serious like devotion to their body and health and sciences with your body.
LeBron spends over $1 million on pure, like, not even like the working out perspective of it, just on the maintaining, with a massage therapist, with nutritionist, with everything else. They say that he spends over, I think it was actually $10 million a year. I think is what the number is that I was quoted, where he spends an outrageous amount of money on longevity because, making 20, 30 million a year for the next 5. I'd be willing to be putting that back into my body too, to play until I'm 40 years old. And LeBron, the guy is, you can say whatever you want. I think he's the greatest basketball player of all time. And What's made him so great
why
is
say that?
because the sustained
that's
greatness
just a
throughout
polarizing
multi-decades.
statement.
No, it's not. It's really actually not polarizing. I think you could back it by numbers and by the
That's
sheer
why it's
eye test.
polarizing. If it were
No,
foolish and outlandish, we'd shut you down right away. But it just opens up that rabbit hole of conversation.
I'm a bigger
better.
Michael Jordan fan, but I am the absolute stand for LeBron James as the greatest basketball player ever. Until Wembanyama turns 28, and then we're all fucked.
Yeah.
Well, that
Wembanyama, get your defensive player of the year tickets in the second they go live. That is going to.
I wonder what it would be. I wonder what the odds would be for saying Wembanyama 5 consecutive defensive players of the year. I feel like I would still be on the verge of making that minus money based on what we saw this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He could win 10 in a row, like just straight out. He's going to average 4.5 blocks, 3.5 steals per game for the next 10 years minimum.
So
it's so dumb.
This is where the future of the Wembanyama conversation is going. So long as like a meteor doesn't hit this planet or, whatever happens or goes crazy, but he's going to have all of these insane numbers that you just laid out, right? 4 blocks, 3 steals. He can do all this stuff. And then you're going to have this contingent of people who are going to push back and say, well, X player, Y player was better. They weren't counting blocks. They weren't counting stats. And this whole thing is going to be turned into whether or not Wilt or, anybody else that you want to point to was better or worse because of the fact that we didn't have numbers in here. I'm just telling you, I'm not going to be a part of that conversation. I am preemptively abstaining myself from it, but it's coming, man. I can see it as clear as day. It's coming.
They just need to flip some pieces. Devin Vassell, Victor Wembanyama, move on with your life. Those are the only 2 you need to have on that team next year, period. End of story.
Get a veteran in there. Like, I think the way Wembanyama played this year with that team, it's just like, please do not make this some kind of slow burn where you're just trusting you're going to draft these great players. Put good players around him and get as many years to try to make it work as possible.
Yep, 100%. And that just speaks to my Oklahoma City Thunder theory. How many years do we expect Kevin Durant, James Harden, and Russell Westbrook to run down the West? Guess what? They did it one time. They ran down the West one time, and that was supposed to be the 10 years standing. Oh, James Harden off the bench, 6th man. This team is unbeatable. You got to keep it together. You got to win now. Always win now.
That's true. All right. Couple of things we got to do. We got to give some plays out here. Also, Eric, you hinted on something as far as the WNBA. I've got a pathway to success that people need to hear. We got to talk golf. We got to talk a little baseball, maybe some soccer as well. See how the live sweats are doing. A lot coming up next. The GoldBoys are one of the largest, well-known sports betting communities on the planet with a Discord to match. We're going to show you how easy it is to get 1 month free of GoldBoys.com just for signing up at BetMGM using code GoldBoys. Sign up at MGM with code GoldBoys, deposit a minimum of $10, and get your first bet back at BetMGM up to $1,500. After signing up at BetMGM, send a screenshot of you using code GoldBoys to promohelp@goldboys.com to get your first month free. 21 or older, gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. The GoldBoys are one of the largest, well-known sports betting communities on the planet. Some healthy production right there. I mean, look, my ugly face aside. Absolutely. All right, let's get some bets out here, some plays out here, bounce around and see what we have over the next couple of days. We'll get to golf, I guess, in a second, because that's going to take up a lot of our conversation. The three of us definitely keen on the sport betting at DFS and just paying attention to the game overall. So baseball, soccer, is there anything else that you have still on the docket right now? My Seattle Mariners over 8.5, Rangers, Mets, and over 6.5 alt, Dodgers, Rockies, first 5. That's what I'm sitting. If you really want to discuss Eric Lindquist, then just listen to those plays right there. That's all I have.
Nothing sounded fun, I can tell you that much.
Seattle?
No, absolutely not. Against no, absolutely not.
I took a soccer play, but it's not till tomorrow. But I took Argentina -1.5. I'm
Nice.
also going to take Argentina -1.5 first half corner handicap. They're playing against Canada, first time in the tournament, with a lot of transition for this team. Jesse Marsh now the coach. Argentina should dominate possession. Argentina have won every opening match um, in Copa America. So the first game of their group stage, they won every one. They're on a pretty good streak right now where they've only lost one game in their last 14 games, and that was against Uruguay since the World Cup. This team's stacked. What's cool is everyone thinks, you hear Argentina, you think Messi, but then you have to think about the other players on the team that are just uber talented. The entire team's top to bottom just trumps the Canadians.
Love it. I'm in. I have no idea if I couldn't refute, retort, respond in any way that would make any sense. And I trust you because I've tailed you before we even started working together, just seeing random soccer bets. You're up early working, right? So is
Oh
Lindy.
yeah.
I text him at like 6:30 his time, and I'm amazed that he's even up and coherent. So I'm in. I'm in. All right, brother. What do you got, Lindy?
Yeah, so we're going to be heading over to Coors Field, and I think one of the biggest edges that still remains when it comes to betting and not seeing numbers move from the night before, because I'm usually recording and putting a lot of my
Right.
bets in the night before, coming into the next morning, is bullpen usage and paying attention to specific teams. But I have a list of multiple teams where I always pay attention to specific bullpen arms and see exactly how many pitches they had the night before, what the tendencies are for certain situations. But we're going to head to Coors Field here. The Dodgers, that ridiculous 11-9 come from behind victory yesterday. It did a lot of different things, but what it mainly did was had Jalen Beeks. He's probably the first starter that I first bullpen arm every single morning that I pay attention to what his usage was, because he's the only southpaw in the entire pen for the Colorado Rockies. Everybody else is right-handed. And if you follow the Dodgers, you know how many guys can be put into a platoon situation later on down those games. Kevin Biggio now acquired by the Dodgers. Gavin Lux. We see Miguel Rojas pinch hit for them all the time. We see Jason Hayward as a lefty get pinch hit for Enrique Hernandez or other pieces. Chris Taylor. I think you're looking at a pure lefty 4 to 5 at bats type situation. And from a projection standpoint, when you're talking about the difference between 2.5 at bats, and then a guaranteed 4.5 at bats that you're projecting out in the highest total of a game, total bases props should always move more than they do. Gavin Lux, I have a ticket plus 140 for total bases. Jason Hayward plus 130. Everything started to move, but ever so minimally. If it was positive EV at plus 140, you give me an extra at bat and a half with a guy who just had 29 pitches in Jalen Beeks, who probably isn't showing up for this game. And I am taking that every single time. Now, there is still about a half at bat that I'm taking away from my projections purely because I do think there's a chance the Beeks could still come in for 15, 20 pitches. If he comes in for that fourth, fifth spot, there's that. But I think the thing that keeps me from the full 1.5 at bats, stripping that away and seeing the pinch hit risk, is you're mainly going to want to utilize Beeks for Ohtani and Freeman. There's very little situations that you want to look at the bottom half of this lineup and prioritize the platoon split there. So for me, I am very confident in having over total bases, 1.5 total bases for every single ancillary piece in that Dodgers lineup. Jason Hayward, just wait for the confirmed lineups to come out here, but the numbers have not moved nearly enough to make up for the gap between 4.5 projected at bats and 2.5.
Got it. Absolutely, man. Feeds into the over 6.5 first 5 alt. How is that not fun at plus 134? Seriously.
That's an Aton special if I've ever heard one.
I mean, yeah, but look, I mean, to your point, and I'm just furthering the fact that you don't have much to go to. I don't know how long you're expecting Ryan Feltner to stay in this game. He's not going to survive on Ks by any means. And Bobby Miller has been poked and prodded and knocked around over his past 2 outings. Not like he's Sandy Koufax reincarnated out there for the Dodgers. So I think you're going to see little runs there with that. All right, let's do this, man. Hit some golf before we get out of here. Remind you, if you're watching on the GoldBoys channel, YouTube channel, hit that thumbs up button. You saw how to get in there. I want to put this up because we're going to get you 50% off OddsShopper just for using this code live. All right. So that's it. You sign up, go to oddshopper.com, use code live, and you'll get 50% off your first purchase. And you brought up the WNBA, and Brad, I got to be honest, like I can't sit here and tout myself or, pat myself on the back, what have you, but I am betting blindly off of OddsShopper. And this is what, I mean, I'm up significantly and I'm not watching anything like because it's OddsShopper, because I'm just blindly attacking the market. Look at that. Look at that. Like I am a WNBA sharp because of OddsShopper. All right. Come to me first. You think Stephen A knows the league? You come to Aton
My Lord.
beforehand.
Stephen A knows the league. Nah, dude, that's really impressive.
It's the tool, Brad. That's
the
what
best
I'm saying.
thing I say is like good gamblers use tools that make them better, make them profitable. It doesn't matter how big your brain is. It doesn't matter if you have the sports almanac memorized front to back. The tools will make you better.
Love it. Perfectly said. All right, let's go to Cromwell here. Let's go a little rapid fire, right? You guys want to do one or two and kind of go around the horn? How many rounds do you want? How many bets do you want to get out here? Or do you want to just tease and then push the rest on Discords?
We can do two. That sounds perfect.
Right, let's do two. Now, remember, we're going rapid fire here. So let's go clockwise. Eric, why don't you start?
I'm right off the bat for me. First guy that I wanted to have exposure to, Sepp Straka. We're getting a much better number coming outside of the major. Kind of fell apart a little bit over the weekend, but this guy is routinely player extraordinaire. One of my favorite bets every single week. Anything better than 40-1, you're just clicking it. So plus 4,000 pretty much everywhere here. Sepp Straka, welcome to the card. Travelers should be a full go.
Yeah, I'm going with Patrick Cantlay. He's going to be Mr. Popular this week, but Pete Dye and bent grass specialist. He had lost his driver a little bit before heading to the U.S. Open. And then on Thursday, he was at one point was 11-11 fairways hit. That's what you want to do. Fairways and greens here. It's short, but you definitely got to hit these fairways. I think Patrick Cantlay's history at this course is alone to warrant an outright at 20-1. But I also took him top 40. I took him top 20, excuse me. I took him earlier, but you could still play minus 140. I checked about an hour ago. You could still play minus 140, even though the minus 120s are gone.
Oh, so minus 140 is still there.
Minus 140 is still there. I can tell you the book right now.
Yep, all good. Just making sure. So
FanDuel. But remember, guys, FanDuel, they do dead heat. So if he's T15 tied with 5 other guys, you're not gonna win money. But you can switch over if you want. You can switch over to BetMGM, Bet 365, and take those for a little bit worse of a price.
So I'm going to do that. Like I'll give out mine. The best price for Sam Burns top 20 is plus 106. If you want to ensure that you're going to get fully paid out for a top 20 bet, no matter where he finishes, to Brad's point, you can lay the 120 at BetMGM. I would suggest doing that in the sense of I have been on the other side, especially with profit boosts that, FanDuel just hands out like the Floyd Mayweather gift where it's just like L. So they just hand these out and you use them, and a dead heat will crush your bet way less than what you would get on the minus 120. But look, we've seen Sam have a pretty good handle. I know he missed the cut last year. He just was a disaster around the green, but he does have some pretty strong history here. He's shown on a similar course, at least, that you can attack the tree line. You can be aggressive, and bombers / distance are not necessarily truly penalized here. I think Burns really showed up after kind of an uncharacteristic bad first round last week. I'm with him here. Top 20 at plus 106 would be the number, minus 120 for the dead heat avoidance.
Nice.
Back to you, Lindquist.
All right. We're going to the matchups category, and this is going to be an interesting one. This is going to be an interesting one because the around the green game, I mean, he's number one in my model over the last 24, and yet I want to attack Webb Simpson ball striking. The guy is not what he once was. He got the invite to Heritage, got by with 5.3 strokes gained around the green. You know what he's done, though? Lost with the irons in 9 of 10. You know who doesn't lose with the irons a whole hell of a lot? Austin Eckroat sitting there at -130 in a head-to-head matchup. Eckroat been one of my favorite backs nonstop, and coming off of a U.S. Open, his first appearance there, lost 6.7 strokes game with the putter. He also lost 4.5 there at the Memorial. It was a really difficult stretch of golf going from the Memorial to the U.S. Open. But now it's going to feel like a cakewalk heading here to the Travelers. The golf course, obviously the familiarity that everybody has there.
Yep.
He's been gaining with the irons in 4 straight, and I am just so iron heavy here on the card that if the golf course plays the way that I anticipate it, the way that it has for the last couple of years, fairways and greens, friends, Austin Eckroat straight up -130 over on DraftKings over Webb Simpson even money.
We I forget what it was, Brad, but we hit a couple on the Discord with Eckroat. I forget what tournament it was. It clearly wasn't the one that you referenced where he was struggling. But and then everybody just was nicknaming him like Eckgoat, Eckthroat. Like it was just it was crazy, man.
That's awesome. I'm gonna go with it's on me. Yeah, I'm gonna go with you want to talk about a golfer, the little guy, Mr. Brian Harman.
Yeah.
I'm taking him outright 40-1, also taking him top 20. I want to give you the current price now for Mr. Brian Harman, +125 if you don't care about the chop. If you do, -110. Mind you, this is down from +135. So you lost a little 10 cents on there. But listen, fairways and greens, right? Like Eric said, fairways and greens. That's Mr. Brian Harman. What's also more impressive is there's 2 things that come into play for Harman. One, a lot of these golfers are going to be clubbing down off the tee. Mr. Harman will not be. So when those guys are having 7 and 8 irons in their hands, Harman will be having gap wedge at the highest on those holes. Also, the last thing I wanted to add, you want to be a good putter. Harman's one of the better putters on this in this field. So at this price, given his history here, he's had 3 top 5 finishes. I'll take the chances. Pretty good price for him.
Not bad, man. Not bad. Speaking of price here, it's a little counter to what we've seen on this course. But if you look at, first off, at +130, it's probably the best you're going to get from a placement standpoint in that like 150 to 200 range that I think truly stands out. And that's Siwoo Kim. And while he struggled here in the past couple of years, really, at the Travelers, this year, if you look at similar Pete Dye layouts and similar approach and shorter and just having to navigate, he's finished top 25 at least in each of those in the 3. So I think there is a correlation here. Amex players, and then recently, right, we saw with the RBC too. So I think there's a little correlation here. And at plus, again, I'm not going to get him at +150. I think he was at 140 maybe when that opened before it dropped. But that would be my last one there for Siwoo. Look, I also think that you could probably sprinkle on him if you want it outright, but that there may be a little bit better value on something like first round leader. If you really want to get crazy, belligerent.
Siwoo, he is
speaking back to that, I think people with the dead heat thing too, make sure that you're betting first round leaders where there isn't dead heat if you can.
Yes.
Huge mistake that people make.
Yep.
I got owned there yesterday. I mean, last week, betting on a book that didn't dead heat. I don't have that many options. And it was a local book. I had to text the guy and was like, listen, come on, man. What are we doing here? Like, you shouldn't do half my stake than half the odds. Like, that is horrible.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, that's criminal, man. I don't know who it is, so I don't want to jump on anybody, but that's
we're heading to Disney World. We're gonna have a talk with this guy. Chit chat.
All right. Chat. Once again, at Eric Lindquist, at Mr. Brad Thomas, at Shander Betts. On the way out, just wanted to bring this up to you guys because I don't know if you have a memory like this burned in your brain, but my kids, my oldest, I only have 2, but my oldest boy is turning 3 on Saturday, and we're taking him to the Phillies game. It's his first game. It's his first like ever sporting event, and we're going to see the Diamondbacks. Zach Wheeler battle the Diamondbacks. Phillies hooked some shit up, so I got to give them a shout, thank them and whatnot and all that.
Nice.
But I'm like nervous because I want him to love it. I want him to like truly cherish this, but he's not even 3, and he's got the attention span of like a young gnat, not a developed gnat, but like a young gnat. So like I'll probably be chasing him around the console and everything like that, trying to be like, oh, you got to enjoy this. You got to enjoy this. But anyway, it's like, I don't know. I've got mixed emotions with what's going on here.
We just also, I want to throw this out there. We just got a scratch. We've got CJ Abrams. He's out. They ended up replacing him with Nasim Nunez, who has a 37.5% K rate now, only 5 batted ball events so far in Major League Baseball. But going to some of the AAA numbers, this guy strikes out a lot more than 19.5%, which CJ Abrams does. If you're able to right now, it's not going to change in the next 20 minutes unless we make it change. I very much like betting the over of Brandon Pfaadt strikeouts right now.
Right now. Okay.
Yep.
Nice.
Go find the best price. I'm sure we've got it on OddsShopper. All right. See you all. Have a great week. We'll be back Monday, 3 Eastern. And reminder, you can find Brad, GoldBoys.com, NBC. Brad, tell the world again, because you're everywhere.
Yeah, GoldBoys.com, NBC, BetUS, BetQL, BetMGM.
Beautiful. Eric, you're stuck with me.
It's just you and me, whatever. That's it.
At Eric Lindquist. All right, we'll see you all. Thanks to James for producing. Hit that thumbs up button. Make sure you're subscribed here on the way out. Take advantage. The Gold Boys MGM promo. Also, the 50% off OddsShopper promo. We're giving back here. That's what we're all about. Have a great week.